So we have seen how does a match index function works together and removes the limitation, the certain limitations which we have in the lookup function. However, it's not that we can use match and index function every time instead of using a lookup function, but at times you see we'll find that a lookup function is much more easier and handy to us, right? Okay. Now let's further dig into the match index function, or rather the match function itself, and let's talk about something called wild character. Yes, in Excel we have something. There are two wild character which are most popularly used. One is your question mark and the other is your asterisk. Okay, a question mark wild character replaces single character. Okay, now what does this mean? Let's say I want to use a match function. Okay, and I want to pull my net income. Okay, now again that's when we are just when we are trying to pull the net income, someone will use a space between the net income, someone will not use the space between the net income and all. Okay, so someone might write inc dot, or someone might write the entire full form of income, right? So these are certain spelling error which may not be consistent, and you're not sure about what was the spelling we have used, right? I can of course go and manually check if it's a small table, but again, if the table is huge, I don't want to make so much effort. So in that case, I'll take help of the wild character. So what will a question mark do is, it will replace a single character for me, right? So if I, or let's say I give net space inc, I don't remember the spelling. Let's say I am a naive person, so instead of O, I just write M because I don't remember what was it, whether it was O or it was a dot or whatever, right? So I'm not very sure about the spelling, and I'm not sure about a one single character in this entire spelling. So I use a question mark and I close the bracket. I give it a table array. So this is my array. Okay, and I give 0 for exact match and I close the bracket. Okay, what happened? Net income B3 to B11. Why is it giving me an array? There's no reason I should be getting an NA, but still let's see. So net income, this is my lookup value B3 to B11. Let me first check whether this is just not working. Why is it not working? B3 to B11. What error am I making here? Okay, let's just simply try another function. Let's say match with an inverted comma. Let me give EBIT. Okay, I probably know the error which we are making. It's most probably the spelling in net income is not spelled properly, and that could be the only error. And I give 0 for exact match and we get the answer. So okay, there might be some extra spaces here. Yeah, as you can see, right? Okay, so this is why this function was not working properly. Okay, so what I do is, instead of giving let's say for so instead of let's say C, I give it a question mark, and you see that Excel still shows the right answer for me. So 9 is nothing but the row number of the net income in the given table array, right? Similarly, if let's say I'm using EBIT, right? So I'm not very sure about the spelling, so instead of I can just simply replace it with a question mark, and Excel will still give me the answer, right? So what is this question mark wild character? Question mark wild character helps you replace one character in your lookup value. Similarly, an asterisk will work. Okay, and asterisk is more useful generally when you have more than one character missing in your lookup value, right? So let's say if I am not sure, okay, I just simply, I'm sure about EB, but I'm not sure what is the spelling used thereafter. I just simply replace it with an asterisk mark. Okay, so whatever is the number of character after EB, Excel will fill that character for us and will give me the right answer. Again, here as I was saying that, let's say if someone used net income, someone used inc dot, etc. So I'm not sure what was used here. So I just simply write net space in and I give an asterisk. So Excel will do the rest of the filling for me and will give me the output. Right? So this is how a wild character works in an Excel. A question mark wild character replaces one single character, while an asterisk replaces all the missing data for me. I can also use multiple asterisks if I want. So let's say let me take an example. Okay, so let's say write a formula, equal to match. Okay, my lookup value is asterisk. Okay, I remember that there is something. How do we, which example do we take? Let's say profit. Okay, so I remember that there is something called profit. Okay, and I don't remember the spelling of the profit, so I again replace it with asterisk. So in this case, what will Excel do is any value which has PRO in it. Okay, so there will be some characters before PRO, then PRO, and some character after PRO. Excel will pull that data for me. Okay, I give it a table array. Okay, and I give it a 0 for exact. So you see that Excel pull this gross profit, which is row number 4 in our table array. How does it work? What will Excel do is Excel will say, okay, there are some character, then there is pro, that is from profit I have taken PRO, and then there are some other characters to be filled after that, and Excel will pull that data for me. So this is how useful a while character would be at some time when we are really not sure about the different spellings which we have used in our data table. Clear? So this is what we have in the match index. Now we have completed the this four function, that is VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, match and index. Now let's see what is the offset and the indirect function. Okay, again these are not very commonly, this match index, VLOOKUP, HLOOKUP, you will see, of course this is the hygiene for the data people working in the data industry, but this offset and indirect functions are not used very frequently, but they are very very useful functions in certain cases, especially when we have to write some complicated formula and the formula is not so easy, or when our data is arranged in a complex manner. Right, so let's understand how do we use the offset and the indirect function, and what is the syntax and how do we use them. Okay, let me first explain you the very basic offset function. So I start with an offset. It says reference, so I give a reference to a cell. Okay, yes, reference here just mean a single cell. Okay, so it says rows. So basically it says how many rows you want me to offset from the given reference. So if I give 2, what will Excel do is go to the reference, that is B2. Okay, it will offset 2 rows. So it will offset first row and second row, and it will come to cost of sales. Okay, so let me give 2 as an row offset, and it says how many columns you want me to offset. So let's say I want the data for 2017. So I want it to offset 4 columns. So I give 4 and I close the bracket. Okay, so you see that it pulled the cost of sales for 2017 for me, that is 81440.4. Okay, do remember that it will start offsetting from the given cell reference. Okay, excluding that, so it will not include this cell reference. If you say 4, so it will count 4 after this. Okay, if you say 2 row number, so it will take 2 row number after this, not including this. Okay, so just remember that. Okay, so this is a basic offset function. Okay, again, it can be used as a lookup value. So let's say I know that I want cost of sales, but I want to keep my year dynamic, so I use a match function along with that. So to offset number of rows, I use a match function, and I say lookup value 2017. Okay, and I give a lookup array. Similarly, exactly what we have done with the match function, and I close the bracket. And yeah, okay, I didn't close the bracket earlier for the offset function, and you can see that it is now pulling the 2017. It is okay, 88849 2017. Okay, yeah, sorry, yes, here it will give you one added column, because what it will do is it will find the match for 2017, which in our reference will be 5. Okay, so output for this will be 5. So instead of offsetting 4 column, it will offset 5 columns. So if I want it to offset 4 column only, I'll just simply do here -1 here, and now I'll get the data for 2017. Right, so this is one of the basic offset we use of, or how does the offset syntax work. But of course, this is not what we generally use the offset function for. Let's understand this function further. Okay, so I again start with offset. Okay, it says a reference, I give it a reference. Okay, it says number of rows to offset, number of columns to offset. I'm just giving any random number. Now let's understand these 2 more arguments which we see here. Okay, first of all, do remember that if in a function argument you see anything within this square bracket, okay, or what we simply say a bracket, okay, that is an optional input. Even if you don't give that input, Excel will still calculate the formula for us. Okay, if you want to further explore the formula, we can use this input if required. Okay, so now let's explore what is this height and width. Okay, So height is, but what Excel is referring is how many number of rows you want to include. So once I have offset 2 rows, that is I have now come to cost of sales. So from cost of sales, how many number of rows you want to include? So if I say 3, so what will Excel do is it will include all these 3 cells, that is cost of sales, SG and maintenance, and R&D expenses for whatever calculation we refer it to. Similarly, it says width will include the number of columns. So first it will offset 3 columns, that is 1, 2, 3, come to 2016. Okay, and then you say number of columns, that is the width. So that many number of columns it will include. You can either give it a positive number, 4, anything, or you can also give it a minus 4. Okay, you can also say minus 2. So in that case, what it will do, it will come to 2017 cost of sales or 2016 cost of sales and include the past 2 data as well in its reference. Clear? Okay, so here if I simply use this and let's say I press enter, okay, so what will Excel give me? 69771. What is Excel doing here? Let's understand. It is offsetting from B to 2 rows, that is coming to cost of sales, 3 column, okay, coming here, and minus 2. Okay, so it should, anyway, this is this is not working exactly right now because it will actually, what Excel is giving me is a range of array because we have included height and width. So if you want to see the beauty of this function, let's take an example. Okay, here now we'll just understand this height and width because this example will make it more clear that how we can use this height and width rather than just simply using it as a standalone function. So let's see if I want to calculate the total expense for year 2014 here. Right, so total expense means cost of sales, SG&A expenses, R&D expenses, and taxes. Okay, so I want Excel to calculate the total expense. So one way to do it is in our database, I go and look for 2014. Okay, I sum up all this. Sorry, I forgot to write the sum function. I use a sum function. Okay, and I do this calculation. Okay, I sum up all this function and get the answer. Right. Again, if the database is too high, if you are not able to look for the data manually, then it is always better to use a function to do that. How to use that function? So I start with sum. Okay. Now I don't know which is my first number, which is my second number, or which row is my first number or second number. So I use an offset function. Clear? So I give it a reference. Reference will be the first point of my table generally. Okay. It says number of rows to offset. I say 2. Okay. Again, I can, even if I want to make it dynamic, I can use a match function instead of manually punching in the row number to be offset. It says number of column to offset. Here, since I know 2014 is in column number 1, I say 1. Okay, so it will offset for 1 column for me. Okay, and then it says height. Height means the number of rows to include in your sum. So here, my expenses are in 4 rows, so I give my height as 4. Right? It says column. Since I only need data to be summed up for 1 year, my width will be 1. So number of columns to be included will be 1, and I close the bracket. Okay, and I close the bracket for the sum function and I press enter. Yeah, so you see that this 2 value is exactly same. So instead of using the sum function directly, I can use an offset function to include as many number of rows or column as I want in my data range. Right? So let's say if I want the total sum for 2014 and 15 as well, what I will do is I will increase the width to 2, right? And then Excel will give me the sum for the total expenses for 2014 and 15. Here you can see that the sum is exactly what we are getting in the formula. Clear? So this is how a basic offset function works. But again, I am sure you would not have understood the application of this offset function. We have understood how does an offset function work along with the height and the width, but how to use that. Okay, what is the simple application of this function? So let's look at an example to understand it further. Okay, let me explain. This is a very beautiful example, and we all can use it in our day-to-day life for various purposes. Okay, let me explain you this example. So there is this Mr. Bachat Lal, okay, who saves some money every year. Okay, and whatever money he saves, he puts it in a bank account, which gives it this specified rate of interest. Okay. This rate of interest, of course, will vary every year. So whatever money he saves, he puts it in a bank account, and the bank gives it a particular rate of interest. Okay. So we want to calculate that what will be the annual interest which Mr. Bachat Lal is earning every year. Okay. one assumption we are making here is that whatever interest he is earning at the end of the year, next year he will invest that money along with this savings. Okay. So let's see how do we solve this problem. So what I need here is, first thing I want to know how much money he will invest annually. Second, at the end of every year, how much interest he will generate on his total savings, right? And he is not withdrawing any money from the savings. So whatever money he has saved in the first year will continue in the second year. Whatever he is saving in the second year will continue in the third year, and so on and so forth. So let's see how do we calculate this annual interest using this example. So in the first year, what is my total amount invested? The savings at the end of first year. Clear? What is my deposit? Okay, it says deposited at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of 2014 only I have invested this amount. Okay, so what is my deposit balance at beginning of year? So it will again be the same. Okay, and what is the interest I will earn in 2014? This amount into the rate of interest. Clear? So the first year it's very simple. So what I am doing is total amount. So what I am doing is, in the first year I have invested an amount of 114789 and I earned an interest of 10331 in the first year. Okay. Second year, how much money will I invest? The savings which I have made in the current year plus whatever interest I have earned in the previous year. Clear? Okay. Now what will be my deposit balance at the beginning of the second year? So manually if I tell you, my deposit balance will be this amount, the amount which I have saved in previous year, plus the amount which I am currently depositing. So at the end of second year, I will get an interest on this two amount. Clear? Not only on this single amount, but I will get an interest on this total amount. Okay, so let's see how do we calculate this deposit balance using an offset function. So what I'll do is, I'll start with a sum function. Okay, I will use an offset formula. What will be my reference cell? This is my reference cell. Do I want it to offset any row? No, I want it to stay at this cell, so I give 0. Do I want it to offset any column? Again no, so I give a 0. Okay. How many rows I want to include in the sum? This single row. This is the only row I want to include. So again I give 1, sorry, because I want to include one row only. And it says width. Okay, so my width will be minus this counter which I have created. So for second year, my width will be this cell and this cell, that is 2. I want it to include 2 columns, and since it has to go backward, I give minus D6. Clear? Once again, what we are doing here is, we are trying to calculate what is the total deposit balance at the beginning of the year. So total deposit balance will be amount which Mr. Bachat Lal has saved last year or in all the previous year, plus the amount which is saving in the current year. Okay, so I'm writing a simple formula of the sum and the offset. So I'm summing and I'm using an offset function. So my cell reference is the current cell. I don't want it to offset any row and column, so I specify 0. Okay, what is the height? That is how many rows I want to include in the sum, single, so I say 1. How many column I want to include? If I am standing in the second year, I want to include 2 column, that is current year and previous year. Next year, when I am standing in year number 3, I would like to include it year number 1, year number 2 and year number 3. So I am saying minus D6, that is minus this counter which I have created. Why we are using a minus here? Because my data is in the previous year, right? It's not a forward data. Okay, so if I don't give minus, it will include 2 column, this column and the next columm. But since I wanted to include this column and the previous column, I say minus D6 and I close the bracket. Clear? Again I close the bracket for the sum function and I get my sum. What is this sum? Nothing but the sum of this 2 here. Okay, you can see 241633. And on this amount, I will get my interest at the rate specified here. Clear? So now I have built in a formula so that I can simply copy paste this formula for the rest of the years. Okay. So let's take an example of the third year. So what will happen in the third year? First of all, what will be my amount which I will deposit at the beginning of the year? The amount which I am saving in year 2016 plus the interest of last year. So this is done. Okay. What will be my total balance, my total outstanding balance in my account? The amount I have saved last year, and the amount I have saved in the first year, the amount I have saved in the second year, and the amount I am saving in the current year. That is the sum of all three. So this is what I am getting: 383149, 383149, right, and so on and so forth. Right. So if I manually have to do it, I'll have to, for every single cell, I'll have to go and select this formula and keep changing the formula. But by using an offset function along with the height and the width feature, I can do it at one go. And I am able to calculate my annual interest every year. Clear? So this is one beautiful application of the offset function, wherein I want my data ranges to keep changing when I am summing or doing any other functions on the data. Guys, those who are from the accounts background or those who are from the finance background, next time when you are doing a calculation of the SLM, right, that is how to calculate your depreciation using the SLM method. Okay, we can use, just try it out at your home. You can use the same feature and the same formula for calculating your SLM depreciation when your capex is changing every year, right? So you can, instead of annual saving, it will become capex. Instead of the number of years, it will become the number of the useful life of the asset. So you can try out this method at home, and this will be very, very useful too. Clear? So this is what an offset function is. Again, the function is very simple, but along with the height and the width feature, the application of the function becomes very, very beautiful. Again, especially when you're writing some complex formulas or feature. Clear? So let's move on to the last part of our lookup function, which is the indirect function. Again, this indirect function is also less explored, but it's quite useful at times. When we don't have any other option to work on, indirect function is really handy and useful. Let's try and understand what is this indirect function. Pardon me. As the name says, okay, an indirect function is used when we want to indirectly refer certain data. Okay, so let's say I want to. Okay, let me first simply explain what is an indirect function and how does it work. So I simply say indirect. Okay, I open the bracket. It says reference text. Okay, let me give this one. Okay, so I'm saying take D8. Okay, and I close the bracket. So what will Excel do is, since we have given an indirect reference, so I'm giving an indirect reference to cell number I3. So it will go to I3, pick up the data from there, that is D8. It will go to D8 cell, okay, and will pull up that value for me, which is 0. So let's say if D8 has some value, okay. So rather than giving a direct reference to D8, okay, I could have directly said equal to D8. Okay, in this case it will simply work. So if I say equal to D8, it will simply go to D8 and pick up the data from me. But I was trying to understand how does an indirect function work. So what will an indirect function do? If we will give it a reference to a cell. The cell will have certain value. Indirect function will pull that value for me. So in cell I3, which is my indirect function, I have a reference for D8. So Excel will go to D8 and pull that data for me rather than just stopping at I3. Clear? So this is how an indirect function works. I can also use it for picking up the data from the other sheets. Okay, so let's say I want to pull certain cell value from sheet number offset example 1. Right? So this is the sheet I'm talking about, offset underscore example 1. So let's see how we do that. We start with an indirect function. Okay, it says reference text. So my reference text will be sheet name. Okay, and in Excel you will see, as I guess also we explored previously, that when you are working on some, if you are referring to a certain, if you want to pull certain cell value from the sheet name, you have to add an asterisk mark after the sheet name. So I write and within inverted comma I give an exclamation mark I was talking about. So I give it an exclamation mark within inverted comma and I say the cell number. So I am giving a reference to cell number. So what will Excel do in this case? It will go to sheet number offset example 1 and whatever data is there in cell D8, it will pull the data for us. Okay, so let's go and check what is there in D8 of offset example 1. Okay, so this is my D8. You see 20350, 20350. Right? So this is another example of how does an indirect function work. Now let me explain where do we apply this kind of indirect formula. Let's say if you have a number of sheets in a work file, okay, and you want to create a dashboard kind of a table, right, with reference to the sheet name and the cell number. Okay, so you can just first create a list of sheet name and the cell number, and you can create a table. So it will go refer to the sheet name, go refer to that cell number, and pull the data for you. Okay, a very basic application, but this is where we can use the indirect function so far. We have still not come to the real application. Okay. Now one thing, let me take you certain 2 minutes offline and let me explain you how does a sheet name should be used in an Excel file. Okay, you see that for all the sheet name I am using an underscore rather than giving a space. So space should not be used when you are naming a sheet. What is the problem? The problem is this. Let's say if I want to pull certain data from offset example 2, which doesn't have an underscore but have a space. Right? So you see that Excel gives me an error. Why is it giving me an error? The sheet name is right, the cell name is right. Still I'm getting an error. The error is because when we are naming the sheet, we are giving a blank space here or we are giving a space here, which should not be done. So if your sheet name has a space, okay, instead of directly referring it, what you have to do is you have to give a apostrophe. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, apostrophe, not double inverted comma but a single inverted comma. So within inverted comma I'm giving an apostrophe and the sheet name, okay, and I have to close this apostrophe. So I close the apostrophe, okay, and the exclamation mark and the cell number. Now the function should work fairly well. So let's go and check whether what is the cell content of offset example D8, offset example 2 D8. Okay, so this is my data 126804, 126804. So what the point I'm trying to make here is that when you are working on a sheet which has a space in the name, okay, you have to always put the sheet name in apostrophe, otherwise the indirect function or many other function which normally works will not work. Yeah, so do remember this point. Anyway, okay, so let's okay, so this is what the basic indirect function is. Let's understand the further application of the indirect function. Okay, say for example I want to sum the nth row, that is my sum from row number 9 to row number 20, which I have created here. So I want my sum function to take the reference from which cell number to which cell number I want the sum. So if I simply write a function, let's say sum, okay, C9, okay, so I write C and I link this cell, okay, to this semicolon. You are aware that is used for a to function, okay, and I say again C9 to C, sorry, and I give reference to this cell. Okay, so what I'm trying to say here, what I'm asking Excel to do, I'm asking Excel to do the sum of C9, that is C and F8, which is cell number, which is the value 9, is to, the colon is used for giving a specified range in Excel, to C20. Let's see whether like this function will work or not. It's not working. Excel is giving an error because this is direct, you cannot refer an Excel cell like that you say C8 and instead of 8 you give a cell number. Excel doesn't work like this. It will always throw an error. So what is the way out? Yes, you are absolutely right that when the direct referencing is not working, we will have to give an indirect reference, right? So let's see how do we give an indirect reference. So let me rewrite the formula. So I say sum. Okay, so since I have to give an indirect reference, I say indirect, okay, within inverted comma, because the final output whatever takes will be, we have to give it within inverted comma. So I'll give C something and is to C something, so I have to put those in inverted comma. C, okay, I close the inverted comma and I give it a reference, okay, again and, okay, is to, within inverted comma I will write is to C, I close the inverted comma and I give a reference. I'll just explain you what we are doing here. Okay, so what we are doing here is ultimately when all this inverted comma goes off and Excel do this indirect calculation, what will the final output? It will take C from this inverted comma, okay, and F8. So whatever value we have in F8, so this 2 will give me C9, okay, and is just an ampersand. Again within inverted comma is to C, so Excel will take C9 is to C and whatever value we have in the C8, that is 20. So my final, once this indirect formula is over, once Excel has solved this indirect formula, what will be my output? C9 to C20, and I will close the bracket for the sum function, and now Excel is giving me the answer, that is C9 to C20. Okay, you see that the sum is equal to 425. Clear? Now I have made this formula dynamic. So instead of let's say C9 to C20, I want to see the sum to C22. I am getting the output, right? I can change it to C12 and still I am getting my answer. right? So if you want to make your cell range dynamic, we cannot give it a direct reference, but in that case we have to use an indirect function. Always remember that when you are using something in indirect function, the text, okay, has to be in inverted comma, while the cell reference can be definitely without inverted comma. Clear? Okay. Let me give you one more example of indirect function where it's really helpful. Let's say if my requirement is that I always want to sum the first 10 rows. Okay. So the simple function which I will use is equal to sum, and I will add the 10 rows. Right? Fine. Done. Okay. Now there is a problem with this. There is a small problem with this. What is the problem? First of all, have I taken the 9 cell? Yes, check. Yes, I have taken the 10 cell. C9 to C18. There is a small problem with this formula. The problem is that if someone comes, okay, and insert a column, insert a row here, okay, and I give it certain value, let's say 12. I have included a new student ID, okay, and I have given it the score of 12. So by default, Excel will include that score in our sum. So you have seen that earlier it was C9 to C18. Now Excel has increased the sum range and automatically made it C9 to C19. Right, so it had included the added row also in our sum calculation, right? So in order to avoid that, what you need to do is always write the function as an indirect function. So you say sum indirect, okay, C9 is to C18. So what will happen once the X, okay, I'm not giving it in inverted comma. Okay, so what will Excel, how will this function be solved by the Excel? First it will go and solve the indirect function. So output of my indirect function will be simply C9 to C18. Excel will take C9 to C18 and it will give me the answer. Okay, I forgot to close the bracket, not a big deal. Right, so now you see, even if I come and insert any row, okay, and I give it, let's say, a value, okay, Excel still retains the original formula. Okay, it's still giving me the sum only for the first 10 number. Okay, rather than including the 11th number also, which we saw in the case of a single sum function. Clear? So here Excel will always give me the sum for the first 10 rows, no matter how many rows you insert in between. Clear? Yes, of course, it will not keep the reference as same, that it will still include the new value, but once it includes the new value, it will exclude the last value from our range. So it will always give you the sum for the top 10 rows only. It will not give you the sum for the 11th row or the 12th row if we keep adding the rows in between the table. So that's another advantage of using an indirect reference vis-a-vis the direct reference. Clear? So again, you will this is just an examples of the indirect function. You will understand the beauty of it when you are solving many complex problems, and if you are using it when you actually have to refer the data indirectly. We will see it further when we study the array function in our next class. So with this indirect function, we complete our lookup function. I hope you enjoyed the class. See you again for the next class. Thank you.